The money I have, the status I have, the power I have, the way I look, the way my house looks, the way my car looks, if that's all we care about, we will not ever find that inner peace. The people who have wealth and fame, why are many of them committing suicide? Every single human being wants one thing, and that is happiness, ultimately happiness. Now the problem is, everyone has a different definition of how you get it. And in the society that we live in right now, in the modern time we live in now, we are told that in order to find happiness, you need to get stuff. You need to have power or money or status. In fact, they did a study in which they asked millennials, what is your number one goal? What's your number one goal? And the majority of them said their number one goal was to make money. And then just after that, I think it was 80% or something. And then just after that, the answer was to be famous. Now there's a reason why this is the number one goal. The reason is that the belief internally is that this is where happiness is. That's where I will find happiness. Now I want to talk about that for a moment. What is happiness? Because for me to get somewhere, I have to know where I'm going, right? If I'm going in the car and I'm going to drive, and I have to put something into my GPS, but I'm not really sure what the address is, I'm not going to end up there, right? So I have to be clear about where it is I want to end up if I'm going to get there. What is true happiness? And the answer is this. There are different types of happiness, okay? I'm going to put it in two categories. There is what I'm going to call physical happiness, and then there is inner happiness. Physical happiness is the happiness that even an animal can have. Physical pleasure is when you, for example, eat a really great chocolate piece of chocolate cake. That gives you pleasure. Okay? Physical happiness is something that is at the level that we can even share with animals. But the human being, yes, there is physical pleasure. That exists. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made some of it halal and some of it haram. So as long as it isn't within the halal, there's nothing wrong with that. But the human being has been given the capacity to reach a higher level happiness. A higher level than just the physical. A higher level than just what an animal can feel or what an animal can experience. Because an animal eats, sleeps, and reproduces, and that's its happiness. But a human being has a higher way to live, and that is the happiness of the heart and the soul. That's the inner happiness or the inner peace. And it's that happiness that people are ultimately seeking when they try to find it in just physical happiness. But that's the end goal that they aren't able to get to because they don't know where to find it or what it looks like. There are so many people who have those things that the millennials were saying that's their goal, right? Wealth and fame. Let's look at the people who have wealth and fame. The people who have wealth and fame, why are many of them committing suicide? Why are many of them addicted to alcohol and drugs? What is it that they're missing if they have the wealth and the fame? What emptiness is it that they're trying to fill? The reason that happens is because there's something inside of every human being that has to be filled, and it cannot be filled with wealth and fame. In fact, as Ibn al-Qayyim says, it can't be filled with anything other than the nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is a compartment inside of us. There is a need inside of us. And I'm not just saying us as in the people in this room. I'm not just saying us as in Muslims. I mean human beings. There is a need inside of every human being that can't be filled except in the remembrance of Allah, except in being close to Allah. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. That indeed it's in the remembrance of God that the hearts find true inner peace, that inner peace and tranquility. Now, what are some of the stumbling blocks? What are some of the things that keep us from getting inner peace, true inner peace? Well, there's a few things. To begin with, we live in a world of distraction. Everywhere we turn, we're being distracted. We live in a world that makes us focus on the wrong things, essentially. And those things tend to be that which we can see, that which we can feel, that which we can touch. So we live in a world that basically makes you focused on the physical world and forget about the unseen world. But unless we can be a people who believe in the unseen, and a people who actually see the unseen as more real than the seen, then we can't find true happiness. And what do I mean by that? See, as believers, if you look at the prescription that we're given by Allah and His Messenger, so every single day we're told to do certain things. If you follow that prescription, what does it do for you? If you follow the prescription of salah 5 times a day, if you follow the prescription of the adhkar, saying the remembrance in the morning and the evening and before you sleep, if you follow the prescription of Quran, if you stay away from what Allah has forbidden us from going to and only do that which Allah has commanded, what does that do internally? Well, what it does, first of all, is it makes us focus on the unseen until the unseen becomes real to us. Because you see, when you're praying, can you see even the Kaaba that you're facing? No, not unless you're there. When you're praying, can you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. Can you see the angels that are around you? No. Right now, we're sitting in a gathering of dhikr, meaning we're remembering Allah. And we're told that anytime you sit in a gathering where you're remembering Allah, the angels come down and sit with you. And they fill the area between the heavens and the earth. Can anyone see them? I'd be concerned about you if you thought you could. So, no, you can't, right? So what we have to come back to doing is training our hearts to focus on the unseen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah that when He describes Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, that He's saying that this book it's a guidance for those who have taqwa. Who are they? الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The first description of these people who are going to benefit from this revelation is they must believe in the unseen. We cannot be a people who only believe and only care about the physical world, about the money I have, the status I have, the power I have, the way I look, the way my house looks, the way my car looks. If that's all we care about, we will not ever find that inner peace. And so part of being successful in this path to inner peace is being able to navigate our storms, being able to be resilient in our storms. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks in the Quran about a solid tree. And when He describes this solid tree, He says, أَصْلُهَا ثَابِتْ وَفَرْعُهَا فِي السَّمَاءِ, that its foundation is firm and its branches reach towards the sky. This is what a believer must be in order to survive this life. We have to be firmly rooted because weather happens, right? You can't make it stop snowing. If any of you decided right now, you know what, I'm tired of the snow, I don't want it to snow anymore, so stop. Can you do that? No, you have no control over the weather. Not even Trump can control the weather, right? And you can have all the power in the world and all the money in the world and you can tell people what to do, but you can't make it rain, right? You can't make it stop raining. You can't control these things. These are things that are only in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then what should we do, right? So my question to you, Does your life stop every time it snows? I grew up in Wisconsin. I understand how it is. Does your life stop every time it snows? No, you're here today. We had a conference, RAS. It was snowing the whole weekend. Life doesn't stop. Tell me how. How come we can survive the snow? Anyone? Because we dress warm. Because we have shelter. Because we have coats. You understand? And so what this is this is the ability to be resilient. The ability to put stuff on, to be able to handle the weather when it hits, right? We don't become, our life doesn't stop as soon as things are not perfect. As soon as the sun is out, some people it's like, if the sun is out, they're okay. But then if the sun goes away, is their life gonna stop? We can't be that way or we won't survive this life. So part of seeking, or rather reaching that inner peace, is being able to create a shelter on the inside. Because you know what? We can't control always the outside, can we? We can't control what happens outside. But what we can do is we can create an inner shelter. What am I talking about? What I'm talking about is that prescription that was given to us by Allah and His Messenger is actually building an inner shelter. The problem is that we don't follow that prescription. And that's the reason why we become destroyed by our storms. It's like a tree. Think about a tree that doesn't have solid roots. A tree that isn't deeply rooted. What happens when the wind comes? Especially if it's a strong wind, what happens to the tree? It'll knock it down, it'll snap. And that's because it doesn't have, it sometimes actually can be uprooted if the wind is strong enough. But you know that the taller a tree gets, the deeper it has to have its roots. And that's because that's what's keeping it firm, regardless of the wind. And it can handle things. There's a forest in California called the sequoia. It's a forest of sequoias. And one thing that we're famous for in California is wildfires. You may have heard about them. They're intense and they spread very quickly. And one thing that's very amazing about certain types of trees is that Allah has designed them to somewhat be resistant to fire. That's amazing. And when I heard that, I just thought that was so amazing. Because this is the design of Allah. Allah has made the creation to be able to withstand the trials of this life. Allah created the human being in the same way. The human being is not actually that breakable. The human being is in its fitrah, in his or her fitrah, is actually very resilient. Very resilient. Now this is very deep what I'm trying to say right now. In his or her fitrah. What does that mean? It means that if we have a heart and a soul that is properly cared for, that is properly maintained, that is properly fed and oxygenated, and I'll talk about what that means, that is properly cleansed, then that heart and that soul actually is very, very resilient, like those sequoias. It can handle things you wouldn't imagine. And I will tell you 2 examples of people that I have witnessed with my own eyes, who to me are like those sequoias. But what is it that we do? What is it that we have to do to feed and clean and maintain our hearts and our souls? And the answer is actually quite simple. I'm going to just simplify it and give you guys examples. If I were to ask you the question, how do you take care of your body? You don't have to be a doctor. Actually, a 5-year-old can tell me that in order to take care of your body, you have to breathe, fair enough, oxygen, you have to eat, and you have to have water, like minimal amount to stay alive, right? Yes or no? Okay. So you need oxygen, you need food, and you need water to stay alive. What is the oxygen, food, and water of the heart? And the answer is, it is the remembrance of Allah. Salah is the first thing that is the oxygen of the heart. When a person neglects their salah, it's just like a body that isn't breathing. Or maybe the body's just breathing once in a while. And the same thing that happens to the body when it doesn't get oxygen happens